What's up guys, Toybro here, and we're taking a look at the final figure from the Motu Classics Ultimates line, Tila. We've got the standard Ultimate size mailer box. It's brown, there's really not much else to talk about. So let's take a look at her actual card back. Alright, so here is Tila on the standard Motu Ultimates packaging with the amazing vintage style lava burst in the background with the classic Masters logo. We've got Tila and her tremendous number of accessories here in the blister. We've got that faux mini comic in the back, and on the back side we have got the cross sell with the new upcoming figures. With the current Ultimates, we've got that awesome vintage style instruction kind of sheet there, and then we've got some of the new artwork with Tila leading some guards into battle fighting a Roton. So let's pull her out and take a look. Right, before we look at the actual figure herself, which I am very pumped to take a look at this figure, let's move her aside real quick. We're going to talk about this little faux mini comic backer card. We've got the Queen of Castle Grayskull. We've got Tila on the unicorn. Name's Charger, I think. Maybe, I could be wrong. Fighting Evil Lyn, He-Man in the background, Castle Grayskull back there, and then we've got Tila's continued story and bio on the back. So I love these. I think they are a really great addition. Second best thing we could have gotten to an actual mini comic. So let's take a look at Tila herself now. So Tila was the original female character in the Motu Classics line. She was the first, and I actually don't have currently her original release. I did have it, don't have it anymore. That's a story for another day. There's not really a whole lot to tell. But so now I had to get her, and I actually have two of them because she has so many different ways to be displayed that I figured I might as well get a second Ultimates Tila to display her with one of the different hairstyles because there's just so much that they included with this figure. Now this is how she comes packaged in the box, not with the weapons in her hand, but I figured we'll throw a couple on there because she has 4 different accessories, not counting heads. So we're going to look at the figure itself and do all that normal stuff. I don't have the original to compare to, obviously, but I do have the Filmation Tila that came with Point Dread, and I have the Battleground Tila, so we can take a look at how she compares to the other figures, and then Battleground Tila is, in a way, something to compare about for real. So this is Tila with her like goddess outfit, basically. So there's a long-standing history with Tila and her relationship to the goddess in the toy line, how she relates to the sorceress, and all that stuff. So I like this outfit for Tila. I think she looks really, really cool, and the fact that she looks good this way plus good other ways is why I needed a second one. So obviously she's got the snake headdress on, and I've got the snake staff in her hand, and then her sword. And I think this sword is amazing. We'll talk about that when we get to accessories, though. So we'll do articulation and paint and go from there. So she is one of the quote-unquote fragile characters. So the female characters early on had a bit of tendency to break more often than others, Goddess in particular. Tila's not as bad, but she does have a smaller peg on her neck, so just be aware. You might run into issues. Now, when you have her with this head on, obviously the headdress is going to get in the way, but otherwise she has pretty much full range of motion. So arms can go out and they can rotate. We have a swivel at the bicep just under the bracers on her arm. We have a single joint at the elbow, and we have wrist rotation. There is nothing at the waist, the diaphragm, nothing. This early female body that they had no center mass articulation, really. Her legs can go pretty much all the way out. You hear those joints are still pretty new. We've got a kick that goes about yay forward, but her unitard gets in the way, and then she can kick back a decent bit, and then there is rotation in that thigh joint. We have got a single joint at the knee, we've got a boot cut shin swivel, and then we've got hinge and a rocker that I don't particularly care for this style rocker. I think it's unattractive, but it does get the job done. I just need to loosen it up a bit. It's still pretty tight. As far as the sculpt goes, I think there is a very good reason why Tila is one of the most expensive figures in the line on the aftermarket. She might be dropping in price now, maybe not, I haven't really checked, but it's obvious this figure looks amazing. Not to mention the fact all the other options they give us, which we'll talk about later in terms of how to display her, but everything about her is really nicely done. The face sculpt in this is one of the best for females in this line, I think. And then the armor look is really nice, really attractive, a lot of details on it. And then, of course, that snake headdress is just, I mean, it's awesome. I think it's one of the coolest aspects of this character. We've got the, kind of move it around a bit to the side, you can see just all that detail sculpted into her tunic. A lot of line work in there, just a lot of ornate detail that goes all the way around. And then we've got the sculpted on boots down here with the fur and the sculpted straps. As far as paint goes, pretty clean. I don't really have any issues. The whites are white and they are where they need to be. And then the golds and the bronze colors are also very metallic and they are very clean and very crisp. I am very happy with how the face turned out. I think the eyes are really straight. Those blue eyes are really solid. Nice color on the lips, and then everything is just exactly where it needs to be. So that's, that's always a concern, is, just straight lines, straight eyes, centered eyes, things like that. Don't want any derpy eyes. I do have one problem with one of the extra heads that we will talk about, but having two figures kind of works around that. So overall, I think the paint on this figure is pretty great, and it just adds to an overall excellent design and style for this figure. Accessory-wise, she is absolutely loaded. We have got 4 weapons and 3 additional heads. So we'll start with the weapons because she's already got a couple in her hands. We have got this humongous sword, and it's very decked out with detail. It's got a lot of paint on it. It's a humongous sword too. I mean, it's really tall. I think it's really nice. It's very different from a lot of other items in the line. Very nice. She's definitely going to be holding this one. And then we've got the Serpent Staff, which has the King Cobra on the top. Really nice texture, a lot of sculpted detail there. It is supposed to be curved like this, so don't think it's bent when you get it out of the package. The original is like this too. It is how it's supposed to be designed. In addition to those 2 items, she has got the items that the goddess comes with. So these are the same spear and shield that the goddess has. They're different in color, but they are the same overall sculpt. So you can see this furthers her association with the goddess. I don't know that I'm really going to be using these. I might. We'll see. I've got so many options to play around with. It's unlikely that that I won't be using them at some point. But the Serpent Staff and the sword are really what do it for me in terms of Tila as a character. So in addition to the weapons, we have 3 extra heads as well. That makes 4 total heads for this package. If you remove the headdress from the first head we were looking at, you get the skull cap underneath, so it gives you technically another way to display her. In addition to that, we get her red-headed version, which is more akin to the Filmation look of Tila, but in a classic style. Mine, unfortunately, has some eyes that are kind of slanted upwards. She looks kind of sleepy to me. I do love this face sculpt, though. I think it's really great. I think it's one of the best in the line, and just goes to show exactly how much love they put into this figure. In addition to that one, we have the same head, but in a blonde hair color. And this is more akin to the mini comics era where Tila was blonde and things like that. Mine is much better in this one. Eyes are very straight, looks great. I'll definitely be using this one in some fashion or another. And then the last head we get is the Battleground Tila head. So this is, again, a mini comics related. Very, very similar to what we got with the Battleground Tila, just with the different paint deco. I'll go over that here in a minute. But very straight looking eyes, long blonde hair, and that's really the difference here. No tiara, just the long blonde hair. Now, as far as comparisons go between this figure and some of the other ones, again, I don't have the original figure, so I can't compare that, but I can show you the difference between this Battleground head and the original. And I think it's pretty obvious which one is better. The new head is by far the better one. The original one looks, I don't know, not very good. It's just not that great. The eyes don't look the same. I think this one is a little more full of life. She looks more like Tila as well. And then the hair has different deco on it. I think we've seen a lot of dark wash in the hair for the Ultimates, and I'm pretty much okay with it. And I think, honestly, it makes this particular head look a little better. And then in addition to the Battleground Tila, I've swapped the head out from Battleground to the more classics Filmation style, and we've got the Filmation sort of Tila from the Talon Fighter Point Dread playset. She is, in all regards, a pretty awful figure. She looks very waxy and rubbery, and you can see the difference between this one was attempting to be cartoon-esque, and this one is definitely not. And this thing, even with the wonky eyes she's got, is just leaps and bounds ahead of this. This thing is probably one of the worst figures in the line, I think, and you know, she's still a Teela figure, but it's not a good example of what they can do, and you can just tell the amount of difference between this one and this one to give you two entirely different characters. So overall, I am 110% pleased with this figure, even with the kind of wonky eyes that I have on the redheaded Teela. She is every bit deserving of her status in the aftermarket. She is an excellent figure. The only real downside to this ultimate version is that we didn't get Zor that came with the original release of Teela. That's not a huge deal. You get her with the Sorceress, so it's not a big problem. It's just something that was left out, but I can understand why. It's not really important to Teela as a character. We get a ton of accessories, heads, weapons, the whole deal, and you can just display this character so many different ways. So it's almost necessary to have two, which I do. So that's going to do it for this look at the Masters of the Universe Classics Ultimate Teela from Super7. Let me know what you think down below. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share that whole YouTube thing. And until next time, everyone.